Hey, it's Ken Poland, the voice of Windham, back again on Windham Weekly with my co-host, Mark Doyle. Mark is going to learn about an item that most humans know about already, soap, today. He's going to learn about soap, the benefits of using it and being cleanly in front of his friends and his family. Happy Easter, Mark, and Passover to those.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay. So we have a very special guest today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about her. As an introduction, she can talk about herself in a couple minutes, then we'll pepper her with some hard questions, because that's what we do here on Windham Weekly.
Who is our guest today, Ken? You have an introduction?
Our guest is Dara Boland. Now, Dara is and listen, Dara deserves some phone calls today, 456-1400. Call her, tell her how you love her product when you get to talk to her. If you're a student, call her and call her bad names. I know how you feel. I was in a school situation once. You know, they threw me out when I was a youngster, and that's how I met Mark. He was in Skid Row, and I grabbed him and brought him up. Now we're going to teach him about soap.
Take your time. Take your time, Ken boy. Slow down.
Slow down. Okay.
It's a big day.
It's a big day. I'm back. So Dara is a teacher at Windham High School. And she's not here today on behalf of the high school, but I need to, and I'm probably going to miss 5 of her jobs, but I want to tell you a little bit about her. She is, in my opinion, and I've known Darren for many years at this point, is probably the most dedicated and hardworking teacher we have in our school district. No disrespect to anyone else. I know a lot of people pull their weight. I think she is extremely committed, and I've known her now for over 20-something years, and I really appreciate the things that she does and for the students, the above and beyond approach, and I'm sure her colleagues feel the same way. But besides being a mom, besides being a Nona, I don't know how that happens, so we'll get into that later. But besides being a Nona,
I guess we got to teach you more about soap, Ken.
She works full time at the high school. Obviously, she works over here at the Capital School for the Arts.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
Okay. They fired her because she was too tired, sleeping on the job. I think it was.
I go back in the summer sometimes.
You're using last year's bio, Ken. That's good.
Well, last year's bio, she used to direct plays there. She's directing a play here at our middle school. I'd like to hear a little bit about that when we get to her. She works at Temple B'nai Israel. She's in charge of the student instruction there. I volunteered as a good Catholic to go over to my Jewish friends and help them out and tell them the real story. No.
Just hang in.
Passover. I can't do that. Mark, why'd you put that in the script?
Just hang in there, folks. Our guest will be on the second half hour of the show. We're just waiting for Ken here. That we're out of breath.
Dara she's the ever ready bunny. She's always there for the kids. She runs the lock in for reading literacy.
Lock in for literacy. Yeah.
Literacy. Yeah. That's a book, Mark.
That's if you could read it, Ken.
Yeah. She's raising money.
And where else does she work, Ken?
I don't know where else.
Temple.
I just said Temple B'nai Israel.
You did?
Yeah.
He did.
Remember, I'm going to be the co-teacher there.
See. It pays not to listen to him.
Yeah. Right. See, soap is going to be big. In addition to all that, and what Dara's mainly going to talk about a little later, is a local business that her daughter started, and she can get into all of that, known as Homemade Soaps that you see at fairs, shows, everywhere you go. I'm a huge fan of her product, and Mark hopefully will now start enjoying the luxury soap that Nona produces. So, Dara, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, fine. We're finally there. Time for commercial break. I'm sorry, folks.
Listen, why don't you start up? I went relatively quick.
We lost it.
Tell us
Okay, I'm sorry.
What you're teaching currently, what you do, the literacy program, a little bit about the play at the middle school, how that's going.
Something about
and
the
then
soap.
we'll jump into the soap.
Sounds great. So this is my 16th year as a high school English teacher at Windham High School. I have taught all 4 grades, but mostly I teach freshmen, and I absolutely love it. We have great kids in this district, and it's maybe not always fun. It's very challenging, but so worth it. I particularly love teaching freshmen because I think you can see the biggest growth between fall and summer.
Can you explain to Mark, who's on the board of that, what a freshman and what year that is, so he knows?
That would be ninth graders.
Whoa. We put you down as one of the freshmen, Ken.
I had to introduce
eternal.
Mark to the teacher that works for him.
You're one of the eternal freshmen we have.
Oh my goodness. Just sitting between these two folks, you
Right,
don't even
right.
know. It's like, whew. Anyway, so one of the things that came out of my teaching was our overnight lock-in for literacy. It's a fantastic event. We usually have about 100 kids who attend. It all starts with a book. The writing tutors that I work with, so we have a writing center in our school. It's staffed by student writing tutors, and they really sit in the driver's seat when it comes to the lock-in. So they pick our author, and they pick that author's books. This year we're working with Chandra Prasad, who is an author here in Connecticut. They've picked 3 of her books. Our students get to choose which book they want if they want to attend the event. They come to the event, which this year is in June. It's in early June. They go home from school on Friday afternoon. They, take a shower, have a meal, take a nap, whatever. Then they come back at 7 o'clock, and we stay overnight for 12 hours. So in that 12 hours, our author is there. She kicks off our event, talks to our kids. There are a ton of activities. There are a ton of prizes. So much food. It's ridiculous. So
You've actually flown in authors in the past.
we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot
It's a lot of fundraising.
Yes, we've had a lot of great authors. The first author we had was Matt de la Pena, and actually he is the one who helped me come up with the idea for the lock-in in a Starbucks in Chicago very late when we were both there for a conference. So
So you met him over a cup of coffee.
Right.
I did.
She leaves romantic, goes to the Windy City, and who knows what the hell happened.
It's true. It's true. I mean, there was one seat left in that Starbucks, and he said, "Do you want to come share my table?" So I did, and we started talking about reading, and the rest was history.
I gotta write that line
No,
down.
I understand. Ken doesn't go because he's afraid you won't get out of the lockup. Is it true you have to read a book to get out of the lockup?
It is true.
Okay.
It is true. Yes, yes. But
And
I've been
comic books,
sleeping there for 16 years.
and comic books don't count, Ken. So you actually have to.
it's a lot of fun. Actually, funny story. Our first year, so we used to have a Friendlies in town, and some parents came, picked up their daughter, took her to Friendlies, and her mother emailed me a picture of this poor girl face down asleep in her pancakes because she had been up all night,
that's
doing
a-
activities, winning prizes, meeting new people.
I'd never waste a pancake like that.
That's right.
But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And the writing tutors, I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, and the kids get a lot out of it. I mean, they really do. I know you do a pancake breakfast, and those kids are racing around to get you your coffee and your juice and whatnot, and they're so exciting and learning this new skill.
Right.
Because serving food and getting orders ready and taking care of people is one thing. Selling raffle tickets is another, because you got to be out of your shell to be in sales. Like me, I'm too shy to do that kind of stuff.
Shyness was the first thing I noticed about you ever.
Yeah.
So,
So,
but they learn other skills too. Like they have to budget.
Yeah.
And this year, money is tight. And so we have to learn, what have we had in the past that we can do without? What can we figure another way around? They have to learn about professional communications. They have to email strangers, which is terrifying when you're an adult, much less a teenager. And then, all of the coordination, they work really hard.
Yeah.
give us a little more background on the tutors. I just want to let people know what goes on at the high school. You said we have writing tutors.
We do. So we have a writing center. Any student can become a writing tutor. You have to be good with people. I can teach them how to improve their writing skills, but actually enjoying working with people is something I think you either have or you don't. And so these students from all 4 grades come and they meet with me every week. Thursday afternoons when I'm sure they would rather be home.
So these are peer tutors.
They are peer
Okay.
tutors.
All
And
right.
this year we have our writing center at the back of my room because we've just come out of renovations
Right.
and we're still kind of trying to figure out where things go. But yeah, they meet with me every week. We plan the lock-in. We work on our writing skills. We work on our leadership skills. And at the end of 4 years, and most of them do stay with me for 4 years. Some of them get to, a year or 2 in, and they're like, well, I'd rather do basketball, or, well, this isn't really for me, and no
Right.
harm, no foul, right? We're
Yep.
glad for the time they've given us, but, yeah, I've had a lot of 4-year tutors.
Okay.
So now you also told me that you're Working, are you the lead at the middle school for a drama program?
I am the program director, yes.
Does the high school still have one, or is that?
So we did. We don't have a drama club up and running currently, but yeah, the middle school does, which is
Okay,
great for the kids.
So you took that role.
Yes. So I actually, one of the assistant principals at the high school, Tracy Goodell Pelletier, reached out to me because she used to work at ACT. She was the principal there, and
where
she
you
and I
directed many plays.
Right. So she and I knew each other from there, and she said, "How would you like to get into this program?" And I said, "Sure. I have lots of time." So,
Yeah, exactly.
but it's so worth it. These middle schoolers are.
Tell Mark the grades of the middle school students so he knows for the Board of Ed.
Well, in fact, it's going to, the grades will have the fifth grade, Ken, because as you may not be aware, we are moving our fifth graders back into the middle school.
Oh, I'm very much aware. I'm watching the Board
And
of
we
Ed.
are,
Right.
and
But they're not there yet.
Not there yet. They'll be, this fall, all fifth grades will be in the middle school. So the school's been put back in its original shape, which was originally designed to have fifth through eighth grade at the school. So it should be very interesting.
Yep.
So so currently you have 6, 7, 8 in a play. What's the play you're doing this year?
We're doing Beauty and the Beast Junior. And I am so lucky because my co-director, our musical director, is Carly Urban. And I have never met anybody as positive and as energetic. She is just fantastic. You could tell she was meant to teach middle school, for sure. So I'm over there 2 afternoons a week. And we rehearse, and the kids are learning their lines, and the play opens on the last weekend of May. I think it's the 30th and 31st.
Now, is that going to be a public performance or just an internal school?
It is a public performance, and it is free of charge.
Wow.
Yes. Yep.
Now, do you need any cameos?
I mean,
I knew a fellow
maybe.
who was the chairman of the board at one time. We did many plays.
I'm sure there's always an opening for the Beast, Ken. Don't worry about it. I'm sure there's,
No, you've been typecast for that already,
unbelievable.
Doyle.
Oh, the young man who is playing the
Unbelievable.
Beast is amazing.
Is it?
Well, you can be
I can't wait.
the Beast Nana or Nona. We'll make you the Nona.
We told him that he had to be off book, which means you know your lines. And he said, "What do you mean? I already am." And he just went through it. The kid can roar like the Beast. And I said, "I need a monster walk." And I didn't really know what I meant
Here's
by that.
Doyle. Jeez.
But
Scares me every time he gets out of a chair.
the kid had it. And they're all doing a
Excellent.
great job. I can't wait for everybody to see.
That was always my biggest fear when I was asked to do some of that stuff was, fortunately the lines we had were 1 or 2, but I don't know, I sit back, I'm so impressed by any age of a kid to an adult learning those lines and just saying them and knowing them. And
Well, you have to be the character, and so you have to feel the story. And when that happens, when you really step into that character's shoes, it's less it's going to be difficult no matter what, right? But it's less difficult because you are just living the story. And so if you have familiarized yourself with it, it comes out your mouth, it comes out in your actions, in your facial expressions.
yeah, I'm very impressed.
I'm sure you have a lot to do with that. But have you thought about, or maybe you have already thought about, taping it or putting the show so we can put it on our YouTube channel?
I would love to. Unfortunately, the rights. So when you get the rights to a
Right.
play, right?
Yep.
They specifically say whether or not you can record it, and unfortunately, we cannot.
Oh, it's too bad.
Yeah, but it is free at the middle school.
Maybe sometime in May, obviously you'd have to have administration with you at that point, is to bring some of those students on to publicize the event
Sure.
better than just a quick blurb today.
Right? I think they would love that.
You would contact us, and we would love to say, hey, so as you got Dara will be here, we'll have a couple kids with you, and one of the administrators to tag, and have them speak of their experience learning the play, preparing to do the play, and you push the heck out of it and see how many residents can go see it besides
Sure.
family.
And just as an aside, a surprise for you, Ken, the new superintendent will be on our show on May 1st.
We got the scoop on that.
We'll be introducing the
This
new superintendent.
The number 1 rated show on WILI 1400.
Speaking of 1400, any phone calls, Ken? What's the phone number?
456-1400. Dara, so we did the play. Let's talk about your activities at the B'nai Israel. I know you have ultimate responsibility for a lot of different things when you get involved. So what are you doing? This is a big week, right? Passover.
It is a big week.
And so Everything must be in high gear.
We have the week off. Actually.
No, I'm talking about the temple. And
Absolutely.
everything.
Passover it's one of our bigs. So we have a lot of people who are, well, a lot of Jewish people who frankly are already sick of matzah. But
I love it with peanut butter on it.
do you really?
I do.
I have.
Are you kidding me?
No, sorry. I
You
eat
like
it.
the black and white cookie, though.
I did that. Well, that's true. That's true.
I've had a few.
But I couldn't have a black and white cookie this week.
Yeah.
Is that with peanut butter, Ken?
No, not with peanut
Okay, thank you.
butter. Just the matzah with peanut butter. Guy doesn't know any. No culture.
I'm just.
Matzah pizza.
Really?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Matzah pizza,
It's a
matzah
flatbread.
lasagna.
Isn't that in Peru? Oh, that's Machu Picchu. I'm sorry. I got confused for a
Matzah
second there.
brie. There's lots of ways to cook matzah. But yeah, no, it is a very big deal. Usually we have a Seder on the first 2 nights.
Yeah.
Our synagogue is having one this week.
How much is the population, dude? How many people are that attend that
Oh,
particular temple in town? And I know not everyone from Windham. It's not just Willimantic. It's the surrounding community.
Right. Well, we also have people who've moved away who
Sure.
retain their membership.
Yes. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not sure. I think it's about 100 paying families, but I'm not positive about that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But it's like everywhere else, right? You have people who come sometimes and people who come other
They
times.
lapse.
And,
So,
right.
sure, of course.
Right. But I got to tell you, our rabbi is the best. I
He's
absolutely
been
love
very.
working with him.
He's a pretty active guy.
Yes.
That I know. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's great. It's a good thing no matter what faith that you have, as long as you have faith, because that's what gets you through most of the
It's true.
life's day.
It's true. My daughter Sarah, who is now, oh my gosh, in her mid-20s, was actually the first baby that he named at the synagogue.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
yeah, we've been there for a long time.
Very good. So now we're going to jump to. So right now you're in charge of student instruction.
Yes. So we decide what the rabbi and I decide what the kids are going to learn, how they're going to learn it. We are looking for Hebrew school teachers, so if anybody's interested, please hit me up. And
456 1400. Let's talk direct to her now. Book her. Because she's coming back sometime in May. We want to talk
true.
about get those kids on from the play.
yeah,
We
that
definitely
would be
wanna do
great.
that.
Maybe we could even get our beast to do a nice roar for you.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
Well, that would help Mark,
That'd be so nice.
What do you think, Doyle?
Yep, we'll have
Would you
him
do a
back.
play with me?
No.
Why?
No.
Do you remember when I did, the hell did
Yes, I
I do?
remember. That's why I won't do another one.
Blues Brothers. Remember when
Boy.
I did the Blues Brothers with Superintendent Personalski?
Yeah, and then he resigned
God.
shortly thereafter, did he?
He did resign after that.
I thought so.
He had to lose his, get fired.
I
You got to
remember
put the
that.
timeline together.
Yeah. So,
So let's talk about known as handcrafted homemade soap and how that began. Mm-hmm. Let's get the beginning of how it began because when I learned about it, I said to Kelly, she's making what? She doesn't have enough to do. What's going on?
So this is you know how people need something when they have very busy lives. They need something they can do that's just fun and it's creative, and this is it for me. So during the pandemic, as many people did, my daughter Rebecca started making soap in our
Rebecca
house.
from Sunnybrook Farm?
No, Rebecca from Willimantic.
right.
Oh, from Willimantic.
Yeah,
Oh.
different. So
Nice try, Ken.
yeah, it was a very good try.
Yes, right.
So immediately I lost my kitchen. Our
Just a
house was
bit
completely our house was completely taken over. There were soap things everywhere. And it was really beautiful soap. And she started a business, she had a website, she was selling it, and it was going really well, but then she moved in with her fiance and they moved into an apartment building. So soap making is very noisy and there's a lot of smells that happen, and you can't really do that in an apartment.
So, but in the beginning, we can say she really cleaned up, right?
She definitely cleaned up, yes. So she said to me, I'm going to close
Come
down
on,
the
Matt,
business.
work with me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, don't do that because you opened it for the boys. Well, at the time, there was only one boy, my grandson, my oldest
That's
one.
how she became Nona.
That is exactly how I became. That's a very funny story, actually, because, and no offense to anybody out there who is called Grandma, but I said, you are not putting that title on me. And she said, why? I said, because it makes me sound old. You have to find something that's just better. Sounds younger, sounds hipper, whatever. So that child of mine actually asked, do you want them to call you Tutu Wahine because we're Hawaiian? I said, absolutely not. So
She's related to the King's Hawaiian family. I don't know if you knew that. The delectable bread.
I mean, we can't have that this week either. So,
No pineapple?
no, well, we could have pineapple.
Yeah, there you go.
So she came up to me one day, she was exhausted from looking through all these grandmother names, and she said, "What about Nona?" And I said, "Oh, I like that, actually." So that is what my grandsons call me. I am not Italian,
No, you're not.
but I am not. I'm Hawaiian Chinese, but we really like the name Nona. So that's who I've been to my oldest grandson and now the little one. And that's where the business got its name, because every bar, right, I've been setting aside a little bit of money for their future. Mm-hmm. So that's fun. That's a little history lesson for you there. So I told her, don't shut the business down. And she said, "Well, I'm not going to be here. What, do you want to do it?" And I said, maybe. So we went through a few sticky weeks of her showing me how to make soap. And the first week I spilled things everywhere, and that was horrible. But after that, I caught on, and it's just become something fun, something creative that I can do. And I really love it.
Now, so take us through the process without any family secrets. Because I'll tell you, honestly, when you see her booth at the Gilson or Shabu, whatever they want to call it this week, or if you're going down to the Mohegan Sun or some other festival, you're likely going to see Nona's handcrafted soap in a booth. I'm telling you, it's worth it. The women's soap, lilac is a certain. My wife just loves it, and there's others, of course, and then there's holiday soaps and this soap and that soap. But for the men, you'll get hooked on it because you don't want to smell like Ivory soap or Irish Spring when you're not Irish. I'm Irish, but I don't want to smell like that every day. Stale
So
beer.
now you're smelling like lilacs.
No.
Oh, God.
I get the sandalwood. She's got manly soaps,
It's true.
which means it doesn't smell like
Manly
you.
soaps.
So,
Wow.
Very muscly
so
soaps.
honestly, quite a bit at the Shabu.
I've done some stuff there. We do Third Thursday. We do the Willimantic Farmers Market.
Right.
And then we have some others that we do. There are some things in Coventry, but we keep it local.
Yeah.
Pretty local.
So do you have an online presence, or is it all just local?
We have a website, yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Tell us what that is, so the
It
people out there,
is Nona's Handcrafted Soap.
all one word.
.com. All one word. NONNAS. Handcrafted Soap. No punctuation. Kills me as an English teacher. So, yeah, when we go and, present, or we're at a fair, we never have less than 50 varieties of soap. We have all different shapes. We have all different sizes. A couple Father's Days ago, we did a Father's Day picnic. And we had soap that looked like steak, and we had soap that looked like an ear of corn, and we had soap that looked like a baked potato.
Wow.
It was the most fun ever.
Have you ever decided to come up with that voice of Windham soap?
It's a big undertaking. So
Yeah.
To be a big bar, that's for sure.
The problem is, there'll be a lot of air in that bar, so I'm not sure they could.
Well, that came out cute. I mean,
Right?
you can't see. Show it on the camera.
Zoom in a little bit, actually.
Oh,
Let
Okay,
them
hold on
see
one
that. I
second.
think this is pretty impressive. That's soap.
Oh, wow. Angle it down a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Thanks, Matt.
wow.
got it.
Yeah.
Professional radio.
So how do you?
Very nice.
So how do you go about the? Do you buy these once you make the soap, which is a process in itself,
Yes.
chemistry. Then, because I know I've seen all the different designs, especially the holiday ones. What did you buy presses for it or something? Or
So when you start making soap, you have to start with oils and lye. And those are really the two basic ingredients. You don't have to add scent or color. If you do oils and lye, you've got soap. So it goes through a process called saponification, by which it ends up being neither lye nor soap, right? They combine and make something else. So once you've done that, I can either pour it into a big loaf mold,
okay,
let it sit until it hardens, and then slice it. Or, as you saw with the steak and baked potato and corn, sometimes there are shaped molds that you can pour it into.
kind of like a candle mold.
Right. Right, exactly. Or a resin mold. So you have to know what you want it to look like at the end. And then there are a bunch of different swirls you can do. There's frosting you can do. There's all kinds of stuff.
What's the coloring made of?
I have used extracts, so I've used rhubarb root, I've used micas, which are more synthetic, and then I have a line called Naturally Yours, which has no synthetic anything. So if it's scented, actually, your bar over there, the Elements, is the one in the box. So that's colored with activated charcoal, and it's scented with lavender, rosemary, and tea tree oils, essential oils. So there's no synthetics in it.
No, I just combined this with water.
Yes,
Try to scrub it on your
little
skin.
friction there.
We'd appreciate that for tomorrow's coffee hour.
That's very nice.
So it's a lot of fun. These are
it's a
my
candy bar
daughter.
can.
These are my daughter's wedding favors. Actually, I had a couple extra, so I thought that I would bring them. They are black cherry, or black raspberry vanilla. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. So they smell. You can smell those without even.
Little Ken's getting hungry.
So you put in the dyes come from natural elements.
For the ones in the white boxes.
The
I
white
also make
box.
the boxes. In fact.
Wow. And then you add scents, aromas,
Yes.
like I know,
Yep.
the sandalwood and stuff like that.
Right. And you have to work quick because a lot of those scents will actually seize your soap.
But don't you need to you don't put it in before it hardens?
You do.
Oh,
it's
you do.
It's still a batter. When you pour it, ideally it'll be the consistency of like a pancake batter.
And then you pour it in.
And then you pour it in.
And then it hardens up.
Mm-hmm.
You cut it.
It takes about 24 hours.
Yeah. You've really got to go online to Nana's soap because...
Water can?
No.
Sure. All right.
Yeah. You really need to go online to see Nana's soap, handmade soap, because the designs of them are, especially around the holiday times, are unbelievable. And I'm sure if you talk to her and you're doing a wedding, a baptism,
Yep. Bar
know,
bat mitzvah. Absolutely.
what's part of my Jewish thing? Bat mitzvah, right? Shlemiel?
Yeah, we do all kinds of custom orders.
She'll do the custom orders, and that's got to be fun because obviously it's a limited run. It's going out the door, but she has clearance items on there.
It's true.
She had a soap called the Mock Doyle. Didn't sell at all.
You are so mean.
So what would we say your I don't know if you come up with a yearly total. How much soap are you making in a year? How much soap are you? Sounds like a lot of bars.
It's a lot of bars. One batch is 16 bars. I don't have that math in my head. I would have to go home and look at my books, but it's a lot
She
of
teaches
soap.
English, not math.
Correct. It's a lot of soap for sure.
But that's a nonstop thing, and it can ever change. Halloween must be crazy for you with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And Christmas and so on.
Yes, there is a glow in the dark mica. So at Halloween, we do a black bar with like swirls of neon orange and purple and green, and then on top there's this cute little skull made of glow in the dark soap.
And you don't make any. None of your soaps comes with those health claims like goat soap and all that other stuff.
What would the
I
health
don't make
claims
it
be?
out of goats, but I do have
No,
goat milk soap.
Oh, you do have goat milk
I
soap.
do have goat milk soap.
I didn't know that.
Ah.
Yep, I have goat milk.
don't drink
I
goat
have. We advise against chewing on our soap, so that probably
That
works.
steak one looked pretty damn good.
We've done coconut milk soap. We do a
Okay.
soap with aloe juice, which is this one here. So we have lots of different ingredients.
Yeah, no health claims though, so
We're not allowed to make any health claims
Right.
or any kind of, use this soap, it'll cure your whatever.
yeah.
We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
That's
I think it's
cosmetic.
fantastic. Again, it's you got a local person in town who is developing a very small cottage business out of her home. It's probably one of the. I've seen a lot of soaps for sale, professionally packaged, presented, and I think you're missing the boat if you don't stop and see her booth at any of these events, especially on third Thursdays coming up, and grab some of that stuff and talk to her about your wedding shower, baby shower.
For sure.
Something. These are pretty cool ideas and unique.
For sure. We've
Personalized
also,
gifts are great like that.
We've done a lot of community stuff. So after my mom passed away, my mother was Hawaiian. So we did this bar that was a Hawaiian sunset. And that took a little bit of work, but, it was worth it. Oh, I don't have a picture of it, unfortunately. And so we took all of the money that earned and donated it to the American Diabetes Association because unfortunately that's what she passed away of. We also lost a student, and he was 14. And so we designed a bar based around things that we knew he liked and sold that as a fundraiser, and we were able to give his parents some money just to help with
all the expenses involved in that.
Right. So we are very community-minded as well. Super proud to be part of this community. It's a great community.
Oh, I know you love Windham.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And I'm just hoping, and I know, I don't want to say the word hope, and I know the staff and the administration loves you at the high school, which is wonderful. But most importantly, it's the parents not the parents, but the students who have your respect and admiration. Because, I know, again, if I didn't know, I wouldn't say it. But so known as homemade soup. What else? Tell us a little bit more.
Well,
can you utter a few syllables?
I'm trying to, Ken, but it's tough to compete with. Even Dara can't compete with you. It's very difficult. So my actual for our listening public, tell us a little more about the structure of the literacy lock-in, because it sounds to me like these kids are involved. They don't just come to that event. They're involved early in the school year, planning and working for it.
The writing tutors, yes. So
And the students themselves?
The students themselves have recently received, so we put together a little video for them just explaining what the lock-in is and how they can sign up. And we have QR codes all over the school so they can scan them and sign up for the lock-in. And we make sure they know, yes, like this is the lock-in for literacy. It does involve reading. So if you don't want to read anything, this is probably
not for you.
Right? Maybe give it a try. See what you can go with a friend.
So it's the writing tutors who contact the authors and get them to come, or is that yours?
Yes. I will, they'll come to me and say, we need you to proofread this. We need you to check this. Because one of our rules is let's all check it before it goes out. They do a great job with that kind of professional communication. The day of the lock-in, all the other kids, I told you, go home and they, rest and eat and whatever. And the writing tutors don't. They maybe run down to Subway to get a quick sandwich and they run back up, eating it the whole time. And then we're carrying things and we're moving things because we are locked into an area of the high school. It doesn't involve the entire building because that would just that's a lot to manage.
Right.
So we used to do it in our gym wing, and then when the renovations came, we moved into the cafeteria wing, which we discovered we actually like better. And so the kids do all kinds of activities all night after the author is done speaking. My personal favorite is the author gives a creative writing lesson. So my kids can say, I wrote with Jason Reynolds. I wrote with Lori Halsey Anderson. And that's very cool. They'll take selfies with the authors. It's amazing. Jason Reynolds discovered that he doesn't do well at Zumba. So they do these activities all night, and they earn prize tickets when they do it. They earn 1 prize ticket if they do an activity by themselves, 2 if they do it with a friend, and this is staffed by teachers, so we know who hangs around with who. And then they earn 3 if they go outside their social circle. So it's not unusual to see a kid go up to another kid and grab them by the wrist and say, let's go get our nails painted, or let's go do Jeopardy together.
I've heard kids ask about the Voice of Windham appearing and taking just selfies with
that's our number 1 request.
That's the booth, I know.
Yes.
I'm going to try to make time this year.
We have to get the wide angle lens out there, Ken, but they can try.
It's not easy. I mean, I don't even know how they know about me. I mean, I guess it's social network and everything.
Well, the word is out.
The word is out.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I mean, Mrs. Folan is there, so.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the paparazzi is all over her all the time.
You mentioned something that I want to make sure that it's said again, and that is that literacy night, the lock-in night,
Right?
is staffed by a lot of, not all, volunteer teachers.
Yes.
Your colleagues.
Yes.
That
Oh my
know the
gosh.
importance of English reading and most importantly the students in their involvement and that connection to the school, that connection to an adult for each of these students one way or another. And once again, and I'm not going to get political, but once again that time of the year is coming up to think about how we support our public school and everything else.
For sure.
And again, teachers give a lot more than they get, and I have to put that out there because it's all the teachers getting paid to be that. No, they're not. They're all volunteers. Like you volunteer for WYO and Willimantic Little League, and I think that's important that we recognize what actually goes on in that building. That they're not all there for the glorified dollar.
Right.
But they got to pay their own housing expenses, their food, their cars, their transportation, their medical. They need this support from the community, the continued support of this community.
For sure. I am so lucky because I put out the call to our building, and they'll email me and they'll say, well, I could lead, what's the folding thing, origami, right? Or I could lead video games. We have a wonderful library media specialist, Mr. Deal, who sets up a bank of video games and then plays them with the kids. So we have had our culinary teacher, make dirt and worms with the kids, that chocolate pudding and the crushed up Oreos.
I haven't tried that. That would have been I can't eat that right now. Sorry.
But it's good, and it's cute. Cute is big
Cute,
in my
very
world.
cute, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of volunteers. If we have any other volunteers, parent volunteers, they do have a background check because we need to make sure that, everybody's safe. And I have to say, our principal, Ms. Kavanaugh, she'll call me into her office every year and she'll say, okay, so the lock-in's coming. What do you need from me? Right? What can we do? Let's think about all the details and figure out if they're covered. She's wonderful and super supportive.
Pam is a wonderful administrator.
For sure.
Yep, she, has been a teacher there for, God, since the days of Kramer.
Regates goes back, yeah.
She's been
My kids
back.
had her as a teacher back in Kramer days.
She was one of the first teachers that I met
Oh, really?
in that building,
Yeah.
yes. She went out of her way to come over, and she was teaching science at the time,
Yep.
right around the corner
Yep.
from me. And she went out of her way to come over and introduce herself and ask if I needed anything.
Yeah.
So-
No, it's good when it clicks like that because it's all about working together. That ultimate goal of getting that aha moment from the student when the light goes off and they catch what you're trying to communicate to them. And
For sure.
as far as education goes, it's
For
it's a
sure.
craft.
And her office door is rarely shut. Like, I have sent kids to her who are very proud of something they've done in class. And so I'll be like, go show Miss Kavanaugh. And, she's always the biggest cheerleader. That's a great job. Wonderful. So, yeah, it's a great place to work.
Now, are your kids involved with the literary magazine that the school does every year?
Yes, that is one of my other babies,
Okay.
actually. That's a different club that I run.
Oh, you can tell us more about that. That's been going on for a number of years. I remember that started way back with Mr. Skoog.
Yes, when Mr. Skoog left, I took it over. And so his was the student philosopher.
Right?
And so we changed the name to Mirrors and Windows because the saying that is on the front of our book every year is the whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. So this is our, oh my gosh.
I like that.
Yeah, right? It's a great saying.
I would turn a mirror into another mirror because
And
I'd
this-
like to see myself twice.
Right. It's twice as nice. Now, this has been actually an award-winning publication too.
Yes, it is.
You've gone on.
Yes.
Thank you, Ken. Again, we'll let the guests speak a little bit. So tell us about some of the awards that you've.
So the one that has happened most recently is huge for us. We submit every year to the Realm contest, and it's run by NCTE, which is can I speak? My English is broken. National Council for Teachers of English. So this year we actually won the highest honor that they can bestow on a literary magazine. We won first class rating. So that was huge. And the magazine features writing and artwork created by our students. So, in fact, I'm so glad last year's had this beautiful mural that was done by our art classes, and I'm so glad we captured it because it's gone now. The building was knocked down. It's the one over by
right.
Egg and Cheese and Willie Scoops.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm so glad that's there for posterity. And we have a different theme every year, and the kids work very hard on that. They learn how to use the Adobe publishing programs.
Yep.
Right. So they've got industry standard software that they're learning how to use. They learn how to edit. They learn how to select. and they learn how to have diplomatic conversations. At the beginning of the year, it's, what are you, stupid? I like this piece better. It should go in. But, we refine those conversations. And by the end of the year,
more
they've really
constructive,
got it.
yeah.
Yes, they've really got it.
Well, as I say, Ken, that's just another example of the quality programs that are being run up at the high school.
I agree. I've always been a cheerleader, and I've been. Sometimes it's been negative, sometimes it's been positive. But I'm going to continue being a cheerleader.
I've seen you in the outfit, Ken.
this
That's,
Yeah, well, you'd like me. So, Dara, I'm going to we'll take a minute here because we have to thank Dara for taking time out of her school vacation week.
Thank you.
Coming in during Passover as well. Time away from her grandchildren and her daughter who's sick today. And thank her for that, her time. I thank you, Mark, who's right with me, for all the extras you do. Your job is your job, but there's all the extras you do. And I really want the community to go into the new school, or the renovated school, and ask for a tour, ask to speak to a few teachers, get an idea of what they're doing beyond, the time that they're with their children, 6-7 hours a day, and then after school. Why are some kids getting more out of it than others? Do you have any more ideas? You parents have any more ideas to offer the teachers to say this might be another hook, right? They use athletics as a hook. There's reading as a hook as well.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that. I think it's wonderful that you, work at the temple and help people of your faith. I think that's very special. The kids at the middle school who you're touching right now are very fortunate to get to know you now, and hopefully they'll get to know you even better at the high school. So thank you for all of that.
I also want to thank you for coming in and listening to Ken today. It was very pleasant of you. Thank you.
Mark, what do we have scheduled for next week?
Next week we have a Red Sox game scheduled.
So the voice will be off again, and that's something that me and management have to talk about
Right.
because
And then
I get stations calling me left and right.
And then the following week we have the debut of the new superintendent of schools.
That's
I
right.
can't wait to meet her.
I can't wait to meet her either. She sounds like what Windham needs, and I think Neil, who I have great respect for,
For sure.
has been doing a super job. And of course, Tracy had some huge shoes to fill, and Neil wears those heels very well. But in reality, this new superintendent, from what I'm hearing, great things already just from the resume.
She was
the board made a great choice.
I will say she was a unanimous choice of the board to hire her. So
That's very
the
important.
entire board is supporting her. We're hoping for good things. That we're looking forward to it.
So get your questions ready, 456-1400 for next week. Not the week after. I'm sorry, May 1st.
May 1st.
And you'll meet her, and that'll be pretty exciting. And we thank you for listening today.